Hi everybody, well due to popular demand I'm here today to do some online Pilates for you. Hopefully this will help you with your workouts at home. I'm going to put it on YouTube, so if you just want to click on the link below, see you soon. So we're going to start today in a kneeling position at the front of the mat. Make sure that your spine is nice and stacked, so you sat totally upright, looking forward. Relax those shoulders, place the palms against the front of your thighs. And just in case you have got a little bit of tension running through that upper body, we're going to take some nice deep breaths. So inhale really deeply, fully fill the lungs with air, hold for just a couple of seconds. And then exhale, just allow your shoulders to sink down, lengthening that space between your ears and your body. And then inhale again, and lift and widen that rib cage. And then exhale again, just become more and more relaxed. Keep your shoulders nice and straight, don't slouch, keep a straight line, but relax. And then one more time. Inhale nice and deeply, and this time as you exhale, just allow your head to tilt forward. So you're just dropping your chin towards your chest, lengthening down the back of the neck. And then we're going to carry on rolling forward as though you're peeling your spine away from the wall behind you until you're completely rolled over. Place the palms of the hands on the floor in front of you and then slowly walk those hands out, lowering your chest down towards the floor, reaching those fingertips towards the front edge of your mat. So just enjoy that nice little stretch around the lower spine. Again, be nice and relaxed so you can really let your upper body sink it into the floor. And then when you're ready, inhale here and exhale, roll all the way back up again. So you're just going to restack nicely, coming right back to where you started. And another deep breath. And exhaling, roll forward. Those upper vertebrae, roll forward, lowering your head down, chin to chest, and then pulling the rest of the spine forwards. Eventually placing the palms of the hands onto the mat and then walking out nice and slowly to come back into that rest position, enjoying that nice stretch through the lower spine. And then from here, you're just going to lift your bottom up off your heel. Take a little step back with both feet. Set your hands shoulder width apart underneath your chest and hold a nice basic front support up plank position. So coming into this shape here, we don't want any bottoms in the air, we don't want any sign of your pelvis towards the floor. Keep a nice straight line from shoulders through to your heels, and just feel all those abdominals down the front of the body kicking in to hold you in this shape. And then from here, I'm going to take a little step in with both feet, take your bottom as high as you can as we come into your up stretch. You're going to drop your head down in between the upper arms towards the floor. Press your heels towards the mat as well, so you feel those hamstrings lengthening. At this point, we need to look as much as possible like an upside down V. So try and keep a nice straight line from your fingers all the way up to your bottom, so head well down. And from your bottom all the way down to those heels, which you can keep pressing towards the floor, getting slightly closer with your heels towards the mat there as those hamstrings warm up. And hold, and then lift the head out the upper arms. You're going to take another little step back to bring yourself back into plank. Remember, you're lowering your bottom down, keeping that line from shoulders through to your heels, engaging those tummy muscles. And from here, lowering your pelvis towards the floor. You come into a nice, gentle swan position where you'll feel that stretch all the way down the front of your body. So lowering your hips towards the floor, knees and thighs just hovering above the mat. Open the chest up, draw the shoulder blades in together, and drop those knees down. Push yourself back into that rest position, bottom down as far as you comfortably can go towards your heels. Lower your chest towards the mat and reach those fingertips towards the front and hold. And then walking your hands in, push yourself up to your kneeling position. From here now we need to work our way to the front of the mat. So you're just going to circle one leg round, circle the other leg round. Just move yourself to the very front edge of the mat. Keeping your feet hip distance apart, just a small space between your knees. We're going to start by stacking up your spine again, so you sat nice and tall and upright, but tension free. Excuse me. And we're going to place the palms of the hands against the thighs there, just so you've got a little bit of extra support as we roll down. So inhale here, exhale, pin in those lower tummy muscles, roll the pelvis under. Nice little curve going through your lower spine. And just pour yourself onto the floor, one vertebrae at a time from the lowest part of your spine. Then the middle section of your spine come down. And finally the upper back and the head and shoulders. I'm going to lie on the floor there. Keep your feet close to your bottom. Keep just that small space between your knees. And relax into neutral spine position. So, palms are flat on the floor at this point, just either side of your body. To give yourself a little stretch through your shoulders, you're going to slide your fingertips all the way down past your hips towards your heels. Hold that stretch and inhale, just take those fingertips up and off the floor, float them over your chest and exhale to let the backs of the hands come down to meet the floor behind your head. Again, just press those fingers away from your shoulders towards the wall behind you, increasing that little stretch through the shoulder joints. And breathe, and just lift those hands up and over as they travel over your chest. You're going to exhale to bring the palms back down to rest on the floor either side you. And one more time, keeping your hands flat on the mat there, just really press them down as close as you can towards your heels. Inhale up. Lift those hands all the way over your shoulders and then exhale to let the backs of the hands make contact with the floor behind you. You're going to link your fingers together now, make a little platform with your palms and place those hands now behind your head so you've got nice support for the weight of the head as you go into your first move, which is your basic chest lifts. So keep the elbows nice and wide. Remember, hands only supporting the weight of the head, they're not lifting the upper body away from the floor. We can start by taking a nice deep breath. Inhale here, exhale, lift the head, lengthen through the neck and roll the shoulders up. Inhale at the top and exhale to roll back down slowly. So breathe at the bottom, release that breath and lift one vertebrae at a time away from the floor. Breathe again, exhale, keep those abdominals tight so you control the roll back to the mat. Inhale here, exhale, engage those upper abdominals. Up you go, lift and hold. Breathe and release to roll back down. And again, take a breath here. Exhale, up you come, lift it slightly higher as you get warmer and more flexible. Breathe again and exhale. Make sure you come down equally slowly back to the mat. So carrying on, we're going to inhale at the bottom, exhale up. Inhale at the top, exhale down. And lifting slightly further each time. Now your body's getting used to these moves and you're getting warmer and more flexible. Remember, never be tempted to pull on the back of the head with those linked fingers. Keep the elbows nice and wide throughout. Keep a small space between your chin and your chest throughout. And just also remember, we're always getting this movement by tightening those tummy muscles. So never ever pulling on the back of the head. Let those abdominals do the lifting and just support the weight of the head in the hands there. Hopefully we won't get any tension gathering down the back of the neck or across the shoulders as we continue to lift. Just a couple more times for now. So breathe at the bottom, release to lift, breathe at the top, release and lower, and then inhale here, exhale, roll up as high as you can. This time we're going to hold this chest lift position, tummy's nice and tight, head and shoulders hovering above the floor, hands still behind the head but just for support. We're going to go straight into rotations. So keeping nice and high, you're going to inhale here, exhale, rotate to right, inhale back through centre, exhale over to the left. Breathe as you pass the middle and exhale over right again. Inhale back through centre, exhale left. So we're just in this nice little rotation from the waist and above. Remember at this point, everything below the waist stays nice and still and central. So if you find you start to twist that upper body, you're lifting either of your hips away from the floor. Make sure that you start engaging those lower tummy muscles, pull them in nice and tightly, and that will stop any rocking of your pelvis in either direction. Once again, now you're getting that a little bit warmer. Remember, you might just be able to twist that a little bit further. Once those muscles down the side of the body get used to this move, you can start to challenge yourself and increase your range of movement. Remember, no pulling on the head. Keep that small space between your chin and your chest and your elbows nice and wide throughout. So just for now, one more to each side. Over you go. Inhale back through the middle, exhale over. Come back into the centre and again hold that chest lift. So at this point, if you do need to roll your shoulders down to relax those tummy muscles for a little while, pull yourself back onto the floor, recover, take some nice deep breaths. Now once you feel okay again, come back into this lifted position. Again, tighten those tummy muscles, keep your head and shoulders lifted. Keep your hands behind the head just for support and those elbows nice and wide. And as you continue to work the muscles through the waist with this move, we're just going to change it slightly. So on your breath in, we're going to exhale and squeeze the right elbow down the right side of the body. Inhale back through centre, exhale, down you go to the left side. Inhale centre, exhale, squeeze down right. Inhale centre, exhale, squeeze down left. Now this time we're not rotating, we're just bringing the upper body down to meet the lower body. So what you're trying to do here is bring the bottom of your rib cage as close down towards your hip as you can. And if you want to, keep both hands behind the head for support, or if you can manage it, one hand can support the head, whilst the other arm travels all the way down past your hip towards your heels. And again, increasing that range of movement as you get warmer and more flexible. So at this point, both your shoulders stay the same distance away from the floor. Remember, there's no rotation, it's just that little squeeze to the side there. We're doing one more each direction. Down you go, inhale centre, change direction, come back and hold. Now from here, what we're going to do is a little bit challenging this, particularly at this point if you've stayed lifted throughout so far. We're just going to add some tiny little pulses into this move here. So you've already peeled your spine as far away from the floor as you comfortably can. Those abdominals are nice and tight, but challenge yourself now. Squeeze and lift a tiny little bit further. Tiny, tiny little pulses. The move is small, but quite intense. Remember, you can leave these out if you want to. Rest here, or just go back to basic chest lifts. Nice and slowly up and slowly all the way back down. If you can, stay lifted. Increase the height with each tiny little squeeze if you can. Remember, no pulling on the head at any point. We're just doing 4 more. 3, 2, and 1. And then roll down nice and slowly and relax. So remember, if you've let any tension creep in through your shoulders, at this point, we're going to take some deep breaths. Exhaling to just sink your shoulders into the floor and become more relaxed. And then all we're going to do is just a quick recap of all those moves that we've done so far. So what we're going to do, basically, do one of each of all those moves that we've practiced. So stay with me if you can, rest if you need to. We're going to start by taking a deep breath. Exhaling into chest lift position. Now at the top here, we're just going to do 2 rotations, 1 to each side. So take a breath, exhale over to your right, inhale centre, exhale left, come back into the middle, and 2 little side squeezes. So down you go to the right side, down you go to the left side, come back into the middle, and now just 1 extra little pulse at the top before pouring the spine back onto the floor. And again, inhale here, exhale up. Your 2 rotations, first to the right, all the way across to the left, come back and hold in the middle, and side squeeze right, side squeeze left, come back and hold, and this time 2 little pulses before rolling back onto the mat. And again, breathe, release and lift. As you rotate to the right and then change direction to the left, keep your hips nice and still, and then squeeze that arm down past your hip towards your heel, right side and left side and back. This time 3 tiny little pulses at the top and then roll back down slowly. And again, breathe, release and lift. Here's your 2 rotations. Keep the elbows wide, no pulling on the head. And then down you go. Bottom of the rib cage, squeezing down towards the hip on each side. And 4 pulses this time. So adding these pulses on, making it a little bit more challenging. Stay with it if you can. Roll down. 4 more sets to go. Breathe here. Release and lift. Here's your rotations. Travel as far as you can from the right to the left. Come back and hold for your side squeezes. And then this time in chest lift position, 5 pulses at the top. Tiny, tiny, little extra moves. Lifting that fraction further if you can before allowing your spine to roll back onto the mat. So take a breath and release and lift. Hold and rotate to the right, into the centre. Exhale to the left, come back into the middle. Down you go to the right side. Down you go to the left side. Come back and hold. And this time 6 pulses. Tiny, little, extra moves. Right at the top. Keep them going if you can. Rest if you need to. And then down you come. Last 2 sets. Stay with it if you can. Lift as high as you can. Rotate right. Inhale centre. Exhale left. Come back into the middle. Squeeze down that right side. Squeeze down that left side. Come back and hold. 7 pulses here. You're doing really well. Stick with it. Final 3, 2, and 1. And then back onto the mat. Just one more time. Take a breath. Exhale up. Inhale here. Exhale right. Inhale past the centre and exhale left. Come back into the middle for those side squeezes, keeping your shoulders nice and relaxed as you reach down either side of your body. And then back into the middle. We're doing 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And now if you need to, roll shoulders down onto the mat, relax, recover, take some nice deep breaths, release any tension, and then if you can, come right back up into this lifted position as we just finish off with some double leg extensions. So, from your chest lift, remember you've still got the hands behind the head just for support. Keep those tummy muscles nice and tight. Hold your head and shoulders away from the floor. We're going to go into tabletop. Lifting both feet up off the floor, just so that we've got a right angle at the hips and at the knees. Shins parallel to each other and the floor. Now straight away, as soon as those legs lift, we need to pin in those lower tummy muscles as tightly as possible so that your lower back is nicely supported. So draw in those lower abs. Hold this position. All we're going to do is take a deep breath. Exhale, extend both those legs out and then inhale back to tabletop. Exhale out and inhale in. Exhale, both legs stretch away from your centre and inhale back. Pinning in those tummy muscles super tight all the way through, but particularly as you extend those legs away from you. Now if you're starting to feel a little bit of discomfort through your lower spine, or if those tummy muscles are not as strong as you would like, remember you can modify this move by extending those legs higher, so your heels are further away from the floor as you straighten those legs. That makes the move slightly less intense. However, if you want to work a little bit harder, stretch those legs out as low as you can manage. So your heels are just hovering slightly above the floor. And that makes it a little bit more challenging for those of you that are quite experienced with this move. So at this point, remember you've got a big range of movement. You can be extending with your heels all the way up there. Try it at halfway, see how you go on, or lower those heels down if you really want to work hard. And all we're going to do from here now is just do a couple more of these double leg extensions, providing your lower spine feels okay. And we're going to bring an arm into this move as well. So the next time you extend the legs, take the arms out and then scoop everything in. So we exhale out, inhale in, exhale out, and draw everything back in over your centre. And keep it going if you can. We're going to do 4 more. Remember, you can leave the arms out if you want to, and lift those legs higher if you're starting to struggle. Last 2, and 1. And well done. Pop your feet back on the floor. Lower your spine nice and slowly onto the mat. And relax. So, well done if you managed all those. At this point now, you may have let a little bit of tension creep in through your upper body. So remember, we started absolutely relaxed through your shoulders. Let's take some of those deep breaths and come back to that same relaxed position. So inhale here. Hold that breath and exhale. Just allow your shoulders to sink into the floor as that tension drifts away. A couple more of those deep breaths if you can. Now as you're doing those breaths, you're lying here in what we call the neutral spine position, so your feet should be quite close to your bottom with just that small space between them. You've also got that small space between your bent knees. And you will be lying here with a small natural curve in your lower back there. That means there's a little space between your body and the floor. You could probably just slide your hand in between that small gap. And what we're going to do is just work that section of your spine that is slightly lifted away from the floor. So those lower, larger vertebrae, where a lot of back problems start, or where people just generally hold stiffness. So we're going to place the palms of the hands on the floor, either side of your pelvis. Take a nice deep breath in. And this time as you exhale, we're going to pull in those lower tummy muscles and then slowly roll each one of those lower vertebrae into the floor, and you come into your pelvic tilt position. So your pelvis does actually move, it tilts backwards. Your lower spine is now pushing into the mat. You'll notice there's no longer that little space between your body and the floor. And because of the change of position of your pelvis, your bottom has also started to leave the mat just a tiny bit. Now hold that position by pinning in those lower tummy muscles. Keep them nice and tight so your back stays flat to the mat until you take your next breath. And then exhale, just relax completely, and almost automatically your pelvis comes back to neutral. Small natural curve returns in your lower spine, and your bottom makes full contact with the floor again. So you're right back to where we started. So we're going to do those pelvic tilts a few more times, going a little bit quicker as you get warmer and more flexible. So inhale here, exhale, pin in those lower tummy muscles, slowly roll your pelvis back, feel your lower spine push into the floor, and that bottom just ease slightly up above the floor. Hold for just a couple of seconds, take a deep breath, exhale, relax completely, and just feel each one of those lower vertebrae peel slowly up and off the floor. That small space between your body and the mat return, and once again, you're back into neutral. So inhale here, exhale, one at a time, each vertebra roll nice and slowly into the mat. That's how we get the flexibility that we're after. Hold again by tightening those tummy muscles, so working on your core strength still. Take another breath and exhale, just relax back to where you started, that small space between your body and the floor again. So breathe and release and roll gently into pelvic tilt. Hold for just a second this time, then take another breath and exhale. And once more, coming back into neutral position. So just now keep rocking and rolling that pelvis backwards and forwards. A nice smooth move in both directions. Remember, pouring your spine one vertebra at a time into the mat, but you're also, when you come out of your pelvic tilt, lifting one vertebra at a time away from the floor. So working on your flexibility as you come into the move and as you come back out into neutral. And then take a nice deep breath and exhale. Slowly roll into pelvic tilt. This time we're going to hold this position. I'm going to take it a little bit further by rolling all the way up into what we call a pelvic bridge. Because your bottom has already started to leave the floor just slightly at this point, that's going to lead us nicely into this next move. All we need to do to begin with is start pushing through the soles of your feet. Now that first initial push will lift your bottom away from the floor, so the whole of your bottom will be hovering above the mat. If you continue to press through the feet, we're going to start to lift the spine from the lowest vertebrae, nice and slowly, all the way up. So once the lowest part of your spine is lifted, keep pressing through the feet, and we're going to peel the middle section of your spine up and off the floor. And then finally, push even more through the feet into the mat and roll all the way up till you're resting on your shoulders and made it into a full pelvic bridge. So at this point, we want your shoulders to remain nice and relaxed. We want a straight line from your shoulders down through to your knees. Remember the small space between your knees that we started off with? Try and maintain that, because if you let those legs roll out, then your bridge won't be as strong. And your feet, at this point, right in underneath your knees and hip distance apart. So you've got really strong support down that lower end of your body. And then take a breath and exhale, roll nice and slowly, one vertebra at a time, all the way back down onto your mat. Remember again, coming down out of your bridge, you can still be working on your flexibility, so keep it slow and controlled. Press the lower back into the mat, your bottom comes down last, And then once more, as you relax completely, back in your neutral spine position, you've got a couple of seconds to lie on the floor, take some nice deep breaths and recover. We're going to do that move a couple more times. So starting with your pelvic tilt again, inhale here, exhale, pin in those lower tummy muscles, roll your lower back into the floor until you feel your bottom start to lift. Then you can begin that pressing through the feet. That first press lifts the bottom. As you continue to press, we start to roll the spine up from the lowest vertebrae until we eventually end up back resting on your shoulders. And again, as you've got that straight line from shoulders through to knees, check that you've also got that equally straight line across your pelvis from hip to hip. We don't want one side of your body lifting any higher than the other. Pin in those lower tummy muscles, that will maintain that position through your pelvis. Also give your lower back good support whilst it's lifted. And then take a breath and exhale, down you come. Remember, you want to take as long to bring the body back down onto the floor as you did to lift it in the first place. So you know you're coming down nice and controlled. And rolling all the way down, paying particular attention to those lower larger vertebrae before you finally let your bottom rest on the floor, relax. Make sure that small natural curve returns to your lower spine as you hold your neutral position. So one more time, we're going to take a breath. Exhale, pin in those lower tummy muscles, roll through your pelvic tilt. Remember, as soon as you feel your bottom start to leave the floor, you can begin that pressing. So you get a nice seamless move, rolling all the way back and up and into your bridge. And then this time, once you get all the way up there, and you've got that straight line from your shoulders through to your knees, and from hip to hip across your body, and keeping those lower abdominals nice and tight, we're going to add on to this move and make it a little bit more challenging. Now, if you don't want to work any harder than you have been doing, just carry on with your slow lifting and lowering, working on your core strength and your flexibility. That's fine. But if you do feel like you want a bit of a challenge, make sure that your bridge is really strong. So once again, at this point, small space between your knees and your feet are right in towards your body underneath the knees. All we're going to do is take a little step out with both those feet. So what we've done here is we've widened the angle at the knee. Your feet have travelled further away. We're keeping your same basic bridge, but we've sort of lowered your body towards the floor. Because of the change of position of the legs, you'll start to feel this in your bottoms and down the backs of the legs a little bit more. It's a little bit tricky, so try it, see how you go on. And then if you feel okay, you take another little step out. So once more, widening the angle at the knee joint. We still need to keep that straight line from shoulders through to the knees. We have lowered the body even closer to the floor. Tighten those tummies to support your back. Feel it down the back of the legs and through the bottom. And if you can manage it, we're going to take one further little step out. So you actually end up resting on your heels. So now, the only parts of the body in contact with the floor are your shoulders and your heels. Everything else just lifted slightly above the mat. Quite an intense move. Try it, see how you get on, or just stick with your bridge. Take a breath here and then walk all the way back in. Get that straight line from shoulders through to knees. Feet are right back in under the knees. Take a breath and exhale. Roll all the way down nice and slowly. Pouring spine, one vertebrae at a time. For the last time in this position, all the way down until once more you're in that neutral. Now from here, as you take some deep breaths and get rid of any tension that may have crept in through your shoulders, let's give your lower body a nice well-earned stretch. We're going to bring both knees in towards your chest there, taking hold of the legs underneath the knee joint rather than on top of the shins, so that you can really cuddle those legs in nice and tightly towards your chest. Take a nice deep breath, lift your head, lengthen through your neck, bring your chest up towards those bent knees, and roll yourself up to a sit-in. Placing your feet on the floor, stretching those legs out, once again stacking up your spine. So we're sat, completely lengthen all the way up to the top of your head there. Keep your upper body nice and relaxed. Okay, now your next move, a bit of a tricky one this. I want you to continue to work in to keep working those abdominals. So all I want you to do is stay in this basic position, but just ease your body weight slightly backwards. So what you're doing is bringing your shoulders behind your pelvis, and those abdominals will kick in to hold you and keep you in this position. It's a tricky one to hold for any length of time though, so if you do need these hands either side of your body, you can place them down as a little bit of backup. Remember, don't prop yourself up with them, just place them on the floor very, very lightly to make yourself feel that little bit more secure. And then once you've positioned your upper body, you're going to lift both your feet up off the floor, keeping your legs straight if you can. But if you're not very strong through the hips, or if you've got quite long legs, you might want to bend through the knees. And the closer you bring those knees in towards the upper body, the easier this move becomes. So at this point, you can be in this V shape, or you might need to support yourself and bend the knees. So therefore you're starting in this position. Okay, we're all going to do the same thing depending on your starting point. So from here, all I want you to do is dip and lift those heels. So you tap them to the floor, lift them back, and again, and again. Now if you can manage it, 3 more, 2, and 1. And then from here, roll the upper body down, keep your legs lifted, and then peel your spine back and up and into V. So roll down if you can, and then walk up nice and slowly, and then pull your spine back onto the floor, before peeling each vertebrae up and off the mat again. 3 more if you can, rest if you need to. Up you come, another 2. And last one for now. Well done. Okay, don't forget, adjust the leg position if you need to. Final part of this move. We're going to lower your heels and your head down at the same time. And then come back up into this V shape. So roll down, back up, and again, and lift slowly. Bend the knees if you need to, shorten the length of the legs. There's 4, another 2. And then finish in that V. Just slowly lower your heels and roll your spine down onto the mat and relax. So, a few more nice deep breaths now, so that we start the next set of moves nice and recovered. Inhale deeply, exhale completely, sink your shoulders into the floor. So, when you're ready, we're going to turn over onto your side. You're going to outstretch your lowest arm, rest your head on it. Keep a nice straight line from your fingers through to your toes, stack up your pelvis. You want the top hip to start and remain over your bottom hip at all times. So try and avoid, over the next few minutes, being in this position where you're rolling forwards, and equally try not to roll back either. Now, pin in those lower tummy muscles, and that will hopefully help maintain this pelvic position. But if you do get a bit wobbly at any point, you have got your spare hand that you can place anywhere on the mat in front of you, but very, very lightly. Remember, this hand is back up, your tummy muscles are doing the majority of the work. You may not even need this extra bit of support here. So, top leg all by itself, nice and slowly to begin with. We're going to lift and lower. And this move is just going to start to warm up the outer thigh. So, small lifts to begin with until your body gets used to moving in this direction. As the outer thigh gets warmer and warmer, then you will start to see a bigger lift from that leg. And then when you get as high as you think you comfortably can, you want to challenge yourself and really work on increasing your range of movement. Lift that leg as far up off the floor as you can and just squeeze it a little bit higher. So you're really just challenging yourself. Make sure when you start to lift really high that this isn't happening. Sometimes this little roll back at the hip can happen because you're attempting to get your leg even further up. Pelvis needs to stay stacked, leg just travels up to the side all by itself there. So just a couple more lifts and hopefully you're in fairly good height here. Hold your leg now as high as you can. So the outer thigh is still working to keep that leg lifted. What we're going to do is we're going to change the position of this leg. At the moment, it's facing the same way as the rest of your body. So your toe, your knee, your chest and your head are always facing forward. What I want you to do is just rotate the leg inwards so your toe and knee start to point down towards the floor. We're going to take this top toe, bring it down, tap the floor in front of your bottom foot, then go all the way back up, leading with your heel. Get to the top, rotate outwards this time, so your knee and toe point upwards, and then bring the heel down behind your bottom foot. So we travel all the way up, rotate inwards, and the toe points down and taps forward. Rotate all the way up, rotate, and bring that heel down behind you. You probably won't be able to get your foot on the floor as you travel backwards. Up, rotate in, tap down front, up, rotate out, tap down behind. Remember, the important thing here is that although this leg is moving about in different directions, your pelvis stays nice and stacked. We're ending up doing a really, really tall, thin arch here, which we're just going to do one more time. And then hold the leg at the top as high as you can. Take your rotation out, so your knee and toe back facing the same as the rest of your body. Lower your leg down to halfway. So gauge how high your leg is at this point. Gauge how high halfway is. Pop your leg down to hover at that height. And we're going to do some more arches. They're going to be lower, so we're going to make them wider this time. So from here now, again, rotate the leg inwards, knee and toe start to point towards the floor. Tap in front, a little bit further than before. Back through to centre, take your rotation out and turn the leg the other way. Knee and toe point to the top, your leg travels behind you. Unlikely to be able to get your heel to the floor here without rolling backwards, so don't bother about that. Come back to centre, rotate in, tap forward. Back to centre, rotate behind, squeeze that bottom, get that leg travelling behind you. And now we're doing those much lower and much wider arches. Make sure that you're constantly drawing in those lower tummy muscles, because as the movement forward and backwards increases, there's more chance of pulling your hips out of alignment. And then come to the centre and once more take the rotation out. Lower your leg down so it's literally just hovering above the floor. Outer thigh still working to keep that small lift there. And we're going to move even further forwards and backwards. Now those hips and bottoms are warmer. So tighten those tummy muscles, get your spare hand ready just in case. And then kick your leg forward and glide back. So travelling as far up in front of you as you can and then really squeezing those glutes to get that leg behind you. Again, make sure you've got control of the hips. The only thing here moving is that hovering leg. Keeping that foot around about 6 inches away from the floor as it travels. We're just going to change this move slightly just so that we can work the inner thigh of the lower leg. So the next time you kick forward, hold your leg in front of you, keep it lifted if you can, and then squeeze that bottom leg up and down off the floor. Engaging the inner thigh will bring that foot away from the mat. We did it 4 times, so lower the leg down now. Travel backwards with your top leg. Once that leg is as far behind you as you can, you've cleared enough space. Lift and lower that bottom leg again. We're doing 4. You won't go very high because you've got a little bit of restricted range of movement here, but feel that inner thigh working. There's your 4. Travel forward, hover, and again, inner thigh lifts and lowers that bottom leg for 4, 3, 2, and 1, and then glide all the way back. Squeeze those bottoms, and another 4, 3, 2, and 1, and well done. Give that top leg a nice little rub. Now before we turn over and do the other side, what I want you to do is just roll over so you're face down on the mat. And we're going to come into a low plank position. So we did this move at the beginning, we did it on straight arm, but this time you're going to support yourself on your elbows. So place your elbows underneath your shoulders, hands out in front of you, and then tuck your toes under your feet so that you can just lift yourself into that front support or plank position. Remember, I don't want this, equally, I don't want your pelvis dipping towards the floor. Now once you've got your straight line, What we're going to do is keep your upper body super still. No movement at all from the neck down through to the waist. I'm going to rotate the lower body from side to side. So once again, working those oblique abdominals. So if you can, take a nice deep breath. Exhale, rotate. Take your right hip towards the floor. Inhale back through centre. Exhale, over you go with your left hip. Inhale centre, exhale down with the right. Inhale centre, exhale left. So we end up with that nice little rotation from side to side. Again, once you've done this a couple of times, you find that you might be able to increase your range of movement. The important thing is your upper body stays really, really still and all the movement from the waist and below. Let's do 4 more. 3, 2, and 1. Drop your knees down, slide them in, sit your bottom back on your heels, come back into that rest position to give your spine a nice little stretch. Sink your shoulders and chest to the floor, reach those hands out in front of you. Again, the more relaxed you are, the deeper you can sit yourself into this position, so a better stretch you'll get. And then walk your hands in, push yourself up to knee length, and then we're going to come down onto the other side. Now make sure you have changed sides. And you're going to extend your other arm and rest your head on it. Get that same straight line from fingers through to toes. Stack up your pelvis. Your spare hand ready. You may or may not need it, but remember, don't ever rely on it. Pin in those tummy muscles. They're going to keep you in this position first and foremost. So keep them nice and engaged all the way through. Top leg, outer thigh first. Let's start with those nice, quite gentle to begin with, side leg lifts. Remember, when you're lifting your leg in this way, we want slow and controlled moves on the way up and down. The leg should be as straight as you can comfortably get it. So those hamstrings are being lengthened throughout. Just make sure that you never lock out at the knee there. Keep the joints always slightly soft because they are quite delicate areas. And as long as you're not feeling that hip roll back, squeeze that leg. Get it even further away from the floor. As the outer thigh gets warmer, you should be able to quite easily do that. Begin to challenge yourself by adding that extra squeeze at the top as well. So a couple more of your basic lifts all the time, and this leg facing the same way as the rest of your body. And then hold. Now from here, we're going to rotate the leg inwards. So we're going to do that little turn of the leg so that your toe and knee start to face the floor. And then we're going to tap in front of your bottom foot, go all the way up, rotate out, and bring your heel down behind you. Remember, it doesn't have to touch the floor behind you. We go all the way up, rotate in, and tap forward, all the way up, rotate out, and tap behind. So making those first arches, those really tall, thin arches, warming up through the hips and the bottom as you add in your rotations. And then come to finish at the top. Take your rotation out just for now. Gauge how high halfway is. Lower your leg down to this point. And now we're going into your second set of arches, your lower, much wider ones. So from here, turn the leg inwards, tap in front of you. Come back to centre, rotate out, and bring that heel as far behind you as you can. Don't worry about touching the floor. Come back to centre, rotate in, tap forward, back to centre, rotate out, squeeze back. So nice, lower, but much wider arch. Really targeting those hips and bottoms a little bit more warmer, a bit more now they're warmer. And then we're going to come back to centre and hold. And once again, as you hold this halfway, take the rotation out for a second or two. Lower your leg down. We're hovering now about 6 inches away from the floor, so the outer thigh is still working to keep that lift. And pin in those tummy muscles. This is the big move here now. We're going to kick forward and squeeze back. And forward and back. And a nice flowing movement. Bringing that leg as far up in front of you as you can. Just really working through the hip there. And getting equally as far behind you by squeezing those bottoms. So gliding forwards and backwards. One more time, just like that. And then we're going to leave that leg in front of you, clearing up enough space to work the inner thighs. We're going to lift and lower, and lift and lower. And remember, it doesn't matter how high you get, any lift is a good one. There's 4 for now. Take your top leg, squeeze all the way behind you, again clearing that little space for your inner thigh to lift that lower leg. 4, 3, 2, and 1, and then gliding forwards and holding and hovering, and another 4, 3, 2, and 1, and then squeezing the bottom to get that leg as far behind you as you can, and your final 4, 3, 2, and 1. Well done. And tuck those legs in, bend through the knees. So give your outer thigh a nice little bit of a rub. It's worked really hard. Now we're going to turn ourselves over. So you lie your face down on the mat. We're going to do a little bit of work to strengthen your spine. So just make sure that as you're lying on the mat, you're trying to keep that nice neutral alignment that we've tried to maintain all the way through. Feet hip distance apart, small space between the knees. Hips in a straight line across your body. Shoulders in an equally straight line across your body. We're going to start with those palms on the outer thighs, nose to the floor. We're going to start with basic back extension. The important thing here is that you keep that line from the top of your head, through your neck and into your upper back. So try not to lift the head and look around as you're doing this. That will only end up putting unnecessary pressure on the back of the neck. Take a breath. Exhale, lift, and inhale, lower. Exhale up and inhale down, and just keep that going. Nice gentle little lift. This is all you have to do to start to strengthen in between those lower, larger vertebrae. And it's fine if you want to stick with this version of the move all the way through. Absolutely okay. Listen to your body. If you're finding any discomfort, if you do try any of these more advanced moves that are coming up, remember, leave them out, go back to this basic move. So from here now, initially, all we're going to do is change the arm position. I'm going to bring the arms all the way around, link your fingers in front of your forehead and carry on with that same lifting and lowering. It's exactly the same movement, but because you've changed your arm position, you've changed your centre of gravity, and that means that you will feel this slightly higher up the length of the spine than before. And again, stick with this version of the move for as long as you like. Or take it one step further, and as you lift your upper body now, separate your hands, bring them roughly underneath your shoulders, with your forearms and elbows also now supporting you. Press yourself a little bit further up into a gentle swan. So we're going to inhale back down, nose to mouth. Exhale, come up, lifting your chest a little bit further. Inhale down, exhale, lift. Still keeping that straight line from the head down through the neck and into the upper back, but just managing to look a little bit further forward now because the chest is higher. And again, because you're lifting higher, you will feel this a little bit further up the length of your spine. Now if you want to, we can take this even further and take it right into a full swan position, which we sort of did at the beginning there. So where you lift the entire body away from the floor on straight arms, try not to lock out the elbows, remember. Open up the chest, squeeze the shoulder blades together, feel that nice stretch down up the front of the body through all those abdominals. And then we inhale all the way down and exhale up, looking even higher up the length of the spine and then sinking back towards the floor. So a couple more and stay with this if you want to. Or just to give those bottoms a little bit of a workout at the same time, come up into swan, tighten the muscles in the bottom, so that now as you lower your chest towards the floor, you can feel those legs peel up and off on that as well. Keep the bottoms nice and tight, lower the legs and lift the chest. Lower the chest and the legs will lift. And again, stick with this if you want to, or those of you that have done this before might want to give it a go, or might not, in the privacy of your own home. But full swan dive, let's try. Row and catch, row and catch. Couple more if you can, onto your chest and back up. dozen is about it for those. Okay, bottom back on your heels and sink your shoulders and chest towards the floor. Enjoy that stretch. Also remember at this point that if you want to, you can just walk those knees up to the sides of your mat there. Now you've got that little bit of space in between those legs. You can probably sink your body even closer to the mat and stretch further. Okay, back to centre, push yourselves up. We're going to finish with a few press-ups. A little bit of a full body workout, lifting your own body weight here. So, as with press-ups, there's always modifications that you can do so that if you do find them difficult, you can still do the move and get some benefit from them. So, back into that front support or plank. Again, separating your hands to the width of the mat. Make sure that they're right underneath your chest there and not too far forward like that. Okay, and we're going to walk back into that full position there. Now, these you can modify by popping your knees onto the floor. Obviously, we're taking some weight out of the press that we're going to do. And if you know you're still going to struggle, if you're really not very strong in your upper body, you can start to walk those knees in. The closer you bring the knees in towards the upper body there, the easier and less intense these moves become. If you end up with those knees bent right in onto your pelvis, don't think to yourself it's not worth doing it. Don't just go like this when we press. I still want you to be able to bend the elbows, bring your chest to the floor, extend the arms but don't lock out and push all the way back up. So from here, you're going to do your presses. So, getting in your preferred plank position, remember those modifications, what we're going to do is 4 presses in the centre. So we're going to bend through the elbows, lower your chest to the floor, extend the arms up your cup. And another 3. 2 and 1. Well done. Now from here, keep your left hand down, lift your right arm, coming into a side bend. Try and keep a nice straight line from your head through to your feet. Whilst you're doing this, lift your hips away from the floor and take this arm right up over your shoulders. You've got a straight line from your fingertips on one hand to the fingertips on the other hand. From here, you're going to take that arm up and over and really, really stretch through the waist there as you bring that arm up and over your head. Don't roll forward, don't roll backwards. Come back up and then over into plank position and another 4 presses. So bend through the elbows, lower your chest, extend the arms up your cup and another and 2 more. And keep that nice line from your shoulders through to supporting area. Up you come. Keep your right hand down this time. With your left hand, turn it to side plank. Okay, nice line from your head all the way down the body. Hold that arm nice and high up over your shoulder and then reach. Reach and stretch. And come back to centre. And then back over into plank position. Drop your knees if you need to. And 4 more presses. Keep them coming if you can, or just hold a nice strong front support plank position. Up you come again. Right hand lifts, so you support yourself on your left hand. This time, once you come into side bend, we're taking this top hand, we're going to weave it all the way through underneath your body, press towards the wall behind you. Got nice hips, high hips, and a rotation. Come back out. Place your right hand back on the floor. 4 more presses. Modify the leg position if you need to. Well done. And then right hand stays down as you turn. Lift the left arm. Hold your side bend position. And then if you choose to, take that hand all the way under towards the wall behind you. Squeezing as far underneath the ribs as you can. Open up, back down into plank, and finishing with your final 4 presses. And well done. Back into your rest position, arms reaching out in front of you. Really relax, huge deep breaths here. Inhaling as deeply as you can, exhaling completely. Sink your shoulders into the floor. Hold your hands in, push yourself up to a kneeling position. Hopefully you've all done really well. I'll see you again soon.